Dear respected Thay, my dear older sisters, brother, and dear beloved community, today it's Sunday, the 13th of October, the year 2024, and this is the first day of mindfulness with the 3-4 hamlets together in this winter retreat, 3-month winter retreat. Since last Friday, for 2 days, we have received lots of pictures and videos from other monasteries of Plum Village in different continents. We have been celebrating Thay's Continuation Day, and we'll celebrate it this afternoon. And our brothers and sisters have displayed some of Thay's calligraphies and books. Just some, a very small number. And like for one book, our brothers and sisters display a few translations of those books. And this is just to give us some ideas, because we have just some ideas, because we don't have enough room to display all Thay's books. Because one book, The Miracle of Mindfulness, we have more than 40 translations. So here we have just a few copies, and with some languages that we don't often see, like Hindi, Hebrew. And I would like to show you something that is not displayed there. And our brothers and sisters don't display this book because it's only in Vietnamese. There's no translation of it. It's the 3 books of the history of Buddhism in Vietnam. And Sister Trinh Đức has finished translating it, and we can't wait to read it in English. We can't wait for its publication. And this is the books that Thay has spent how many years? More than 12 years to write them, the 3 books. The first one was published in 1973, and the third book was published in 1985, so 12 years. And this is the book Thay spent so much time and energy to do research, and at that time there was no publishing house who printed Thay's books, so Thay had to print his books himself. At that time, Thay was staying in Seoul, in an apartment in Seoul, in the région parisienne. And in a very small apartment, Thay bought a printing machine, and there was no place of this size, and there was no room to put that printing machine. So Thay had to put it in his bathroom. And Sister Trinh Khong had to type all those pages, and because it's in Vietnamese, the typewriter didn't have accents. And so after Sister Trinh Khong's typing with a pen like this, Thay had to put the accents on each letter. And then with that printing machine, Thay printed page by page. And then Thay assembled all the sheets of paper and bound them. And because there was no bookshop to sell those books, Sister Chin Khong had a mailing list, and she just sent those books to anyone she knew. So it was the first online bookshop. And my family was was among the few lucky ones. My parents received all those books. And Sister Chin Khong and Thay sold those books not with the intention to get money, but to share the practice and Thay's knowledge, Thay's savoir with whoever Thay and Sister Chin Khong knew. And thanks to those books, I was in contact with Thay's teachings, and I become who I am today. It was how Thay and Sister Chin Khong sowed the seeds of peace, of practice in the West, in France. And later on, today we have so many beautiful books, but the first ones, it is how they were printed. And in the exhibition hall of the New Hamlet, we can see that typewriter and the few pages, how they designed by hand, how they cut the lines, the words, and then with his Scotch tape, with pieces of Scotch tape, they stick, and how they design the covers of the books. We can, if you have the opportunity, please come to that exhibition hall to see. And a few years later, a professor, somehow, Sister Chin Khong also sent a copy or a few copies to Vietnam. And a few years later, a professor, a historian in Vietnam, he got the book and he read. And he was so happy. And he wanted to contact the author. And the author's name is Nguyễn Lang. It's Thay's pen name, Thay's pseudonym. At that time, Thay's books were still banned in Vietnam. So that historian, he looked for the author, he looked for the address, and at the end of the book, he saw an address in France, in Bourg-la-Reine. So he wrote a letter to the author, to that address, to ask for permission to publish this book in Vietnam. And he never got the answer. He waited, he never got the answer. Because it's in Bourg-la-Reine, France, not Plum Village address. And Thay didn't live in Bourg-la-Reine. It's just an address that Thay, I think, is Sister Chin Khong's older brothers and sisters, genetic older brothers and sisters who lived in Bourg-la-Reine. So Thay used that address like the address of a publishing house. And when that professor wrote a letter to that address, he never got the answer. And so he still printed, and he wrote a preface. And on that preface, in 1992, he praised that book. He wrote 6 or 7 pages, and he really praised that book because Buddhist documents in Vietnam during the war, almost all the documents were lost. So documents that they found in Vietnam about Buddhism were very few and very messy, and they couldn't figure out the dates and things, and no connections. And reading that book, that historian was so happy. And he published that book, and nobody knew that Thay was the author until one day, by accident, he learned that it was Thay. And in 1990, I think before the year 2000, about 97 or 98, he managed to come to Plum Village in a winter retreat and talk to Thay and express his gratitude. And all the Buddhist institute in Vietnam and Buddhist university, they use this book to teach the students. And the first time when Thay went back to Vietnam, after 39 years in exile, Thay had a session with historians, scholars, professors in Vietnam. And that historian, whose name is maybe because I'm too nervous, I forgot his name. This morning I still remember his name. Gì em? Đúng, cảm ơn em. Nguyễn Huệ Chi, Professor Nguyễn Huệ Chi. And he was there in that session, and they asked Thay's question. And it was the first time that Thay revealed with details how he got all the documents to write those books. He got all the documents in Paris, in the library of the school, l'École pratique des hautes études, located in Sorbonne. And because that school was also located in Hanoi, Vietnam, in the last century and before, in 19th century, I think. And that's how that school got many documents, precious documents of Buddhism, all the Buddhist magazines. And Thay got all those documents in that library. And those scholars, during that session, they called Thay as historian. And Thay said, "No, I'm not a historian. I'm a monk." Even though many people consider Thay as poet, writer, calligrapher, historian, but Thay always said, "No, I'm a monk." Because what Thay want to do is to practice, to transform suffering, and to show people how to transform their own suffering and to have a happier life. All the other things are secondary. All other things are means to help people. And this book, Thay wrote them because in this book Thay wrote, the first one started with the first Zen master in Vietnam in the first century, Tăng Hội, Master Tăng Hội. He's also the first Zen master in China, 4 centuries before Bodhidharma. And at that time in the world, everyone knew that Bodhidharma was the first Buddhist monk who brought Buddhism from China to Vietnam. And the third book ended in 1964, beginning of 1964, the year when Thay left Vietnam to go to the United States. So when Thay God saw all the precious documents in that library in Paris. Thay wanted to write down and to send to the young generations of monastics in Vietnam, so we know more about our roots, our spiritual roots. And the purpose is that when we understand the past, when we understand our past, we can understand more our present. And it can help our practice. We can deepen our practice. But Thay didn't want to. The purpose is not about knowledge. And that is why when the scholars called Thay historian, Thay said, right away Thay said, no, I'm not. I'm a monk. Because as monastics, our main job is to practice during our daily life. Can you invite one sound of the bell every 15 minutes, please? And surprisingly, those books were printed and reprinted in Vietnam. And by accident, just last year, we found out that there's so many mistakes in the last few editions, so many mistakes. And that is why in all the hamlets, in the libraries, we have the original edition, and they are very precious. Please don't lose them. And after the end of the Vietnam War, Thay knew that Thay couldn't go back to his homeland, so Thay decided to establish a practice center, and that's how Plum Village was born in 1982. And the first 6 years, Thay and Sister Tinh Khong and his students had to clean up, to rebuild, because the Upper Hamlet and Lower Hamlets were farms, and all that they had were barns and a few very small houses. And Thay Sister Tinh Khong and his students had to remove all the cow dungs out of the barns, and then rinse all the stones, stone by stone, to transform barns into meditation hall. And Thay also planted the trees, the pine trees. And Thay and his students spent 6 years to, how do you say, aménager the two hamlets, to renovate, to set up meditation halls. At that time, when Thay gave Dharma Talks in the Lower Hamlet, I still remember Thay gave Dharma Talks in the dining hall and kitchen. Same thing in the Upper Hamlet. And after 6 years of renovating and and renovating meditation hall, dining hall, kitchen. Right away, Thay started the monastic community. With the first monastics, Sister Trân Không, Sister Trân Đức. And right away, since the first year when the monastic community started in Plum Village, Thay started the tradition of the 3-month retreat, winter retreat. In the Buddhist tradition, since the Buddha time, the 3-month retreat is for the bhikshu and bhikshunis. It means the fully ordained monastics. Until today in Vietnam or in Asia, the novices, the lay people, support the fully ordained monastics. And the fully ordained monastics, they spend the 3 months chanting, practicing, and they don't do anything else. From morning to evening, they have 6 sessions of practice. And the novices and the lay friends cook and do everything to support their practice. But since the first winter retreat in Plum Village, Thay opened it to everyone, including lay practitioners. Because our practice is not sessions of practice in the meditation hall, but our practice is the practice of mindfulness from morning to evening in every activity. When we cook, when we do the dishes, when we walk, at any time during the day, we practice mindfulness. So the practice is not limited in meditation hall. So Thay opened this tradition to everyone who has the heart, who wants to practice. And Thay follow the tradition very, very diligently. In the whole world, everyone knows that Thay is like the father of engaged Buddhism. During the year, Thay traveled to sow the seeds of peace, of mindfulness everywhere. But when it's time to have the 3-month retreat, Thay closed all the doors and just focused on his practice and teaching. And because people knew it, so they didn't send invitation for retreats during those 3 months. They knew it, and if they didn't know, they sent, and then of course Sister Trân Không would reply that, oh, we have a 3-month retreat, we cannot go out of the boundaries. And during those 3 months retreat, Thay started to build the monastic communities, to teach, to transmit all his experience to the monastic community and also to the lay community. And when we look at the dates, we see that Thay has spent 96 years physically, and Thay was active for 88 years. And Thay found Plum Village, and Plum Village, Thay started to teach and to transmit his whole life in Plum Village for 32 years, and 26 years, 26 3-month winter retreat. It means that after working for peace, after working in Vietnam to build some foundation for Vietnam, like the first Buddhist university in Vietnam, the first school of social service, the publishing house. Thay also established some foundation in Vietnam, and then Thay spent years working for peace, and then he spent his last third part of his life for Plum Village, to build Plum Village. And a little bit more than the last fourth part of his life training the monastic community. So we see that all the experience that Thay got during the first 3/4 of his life, he wholeheartedly transmitted during the 3-month retreat. And Thay was very aware of impermanence. And that is why he knew very well how to use his time and energy, because Thay didn't know how many years he could spend to transmit everything, all his experience. In the letter he wrote to us in the year 2000, on the second week of the summer retreat, Thay wrote, I'm going to read just a short section. In the past, Thay's class at Bao Quốc Temple from 1947 to 1949. In the past, Thay's class at Bao Quốc Temple was quite large. We were very close, and it seemed like we could have each other forever. But now that Thay looks back, there is almost no one left. Even the youngest brothers are no longer here, like Brother Châu Toàn or Brother Châu Đức. Now only Venerable Thiện Hạnh and Venerable Thiện Bình are still alive. Looking back, we see that now we are still together. Thay talked about his present community. We are all following the same practices, and we can call on each other anytime we want. We can do walking meditation together. We can sit and eat mindfully together. We can have the rain retreat together. This is really a rare gift. How can Thay not feel happy? So Thay was aware of the impermanence. That's why Thay treasured each person's presence in front of him in his community during the 3-month retreat. And during the first 10 years with the monastic community, Thay established everything. The whole new structure of organization and all the practices. We can imagine that the practice of walking meditation that today we see it so familiar. But the practice of walking meditation happened only in Plum Village, nowhere else, in no other temple or monastery or practice center, only in Plum Village, since the first year in Plum Village. And for it to become a tradition, Thay never missed one single walking meditation. Even when it was very cold in winter, even when it rained, not heavy rain, light rain, under the light rain, we still have the pictures of Thay and the whole community practice walking meditation with umbrellas under the light rain. And we monastics or lay friends, when we are tired, we can, okay, I will skip today. But because Thay led the walk, so Thay never missed any walking meditation. I think just a few ones, one or two, when Thay was sick. And I shared a few times with the community, but I know that here in this today, there are many ones of you who are here for the first time, so I repeat the story. One day in a formal lunch, today we will have the chance to have a formal lunch, and you will see how it's formal. Because we have rows of monastics and lay friends sitting, facing each other on both sides, and we eat in silence with our alms bowl. And that day, after the formal lunch, Thay said, "Whoever didn't go to walking meditation today, please come in front of the Sangha to practice begin anew." It means to apologize. And the whole community was silent. And slowly we saw our eldest brothers and sisters standing up to go in the middle of the community to apologize, to practice beginning anew. The eldest ones. Because the eldest ones were busy. Whenever the three hamlets gathered, and then other hamlets came to Sister Trân Không and asked questions, and Sister Trân Đức, and there were lines of people who waited to ask questions. So our elders, brothers and sisters, had to stay there to answer questions, or something or sometimes to have a short meeting. And that day I think they had a short meeting, and so they went out and apologized. And Thay said, "You are elders, brothers and sisters. You need to be examples, good models for your younger ones." And since then, I never see them miss another walking meditation. And for sitting meditation, you know, when you come to the morning sitting meditation or afternoon or evening, you see the names, a piece of wood with the names of the monastics and long-term friends. Thay was the one who set up those names, because one day he noticed that, there are those who don't come to sitting meditation. So Thay said that, okay, we're going to put name tags, we say name tags, for each person in the order. And if that day you cook for the Sangha and you cannot come, or you take someone to the airport or the train station, you cannot come, and then you can put at your seat a sign, service. And this is Thay's handwriting. Thay wrote on a piece of paper for us to make photocopies. You put service on your seat. And if that day you are sick, and then you can put a sign on your cushion indisposed. And when the community finished the session of sitting meditation and we chant, and then we just leave that cushion free with the sign, and then we know, oh, such a sister is sick or is doing Sangha service, or such sister is lazy, she doesn't come to sitting meditation. And then the sister who is lazy, who doesn't come, she knows that everyone sees her seat empty. And Thay says that when the seat is empty, it means that that day you don't contribute your energy of practice to the Sangha. When we are together, we are nourished by the collective energy of the Sangha. We also contribute our own energy of practice, and then we also we are nourished, we get benefits from the collective energy. So when we are absent, it means that we don't contribute. And so today, whatever we see, the traditions, any tradition or anything that is set up familiar to us, Thay has really thought, reflected to set up in all the smallest details. And I remember every time when it was Thay's birthday, my oldest sisters always ask, Thay, dear Thay, what do you like the most? She hoped Thay would say, I like brownies, or I like something like that. But Thay always answered, what I like the most is you love each other. And after a few times, our elder sister asked, yes, but beside that, what do you like the most? And every year we wrote cards to Thay, and we tried to figure out what Thay likes. Sometimes the sisters needed woolen bonnet for Thay, or sew robes for Thay. And we tried to figure out, to find the best gift for Thay besides that. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day, my elder sister saw that in Thay's hermitage, Thay's fridge is so old, very old. And outside is even, the paint is even rusty. So with a group of sisters, she bought a new one. And then that day, we brought the fridge to the hermitage and took away the old one and put the new one, very proper, clean, and new, brand new. And the next day, we saw Thay, and Thay said, where's my fridge? Give me back my fridge. It's still working. So our elder sister and we had to bring back the old one and take away the new one. And so sometimes we try to offer something to Thay on Thay's birthday, and then we realize that we didn't understand Thay enough. And in this hamlet, I remember a sister, because we took turn to be Thay's attendant. Everyone, every sister, had the chance to attend Thay for a month and a half or 3 months. And then another sister had the chance to attend the next month. And that sister, it was her turn to attend Thay, and she was so happy. And she, before Thay came to the Lower Hamlet, she cleaned up Thay's room in the smallest detail, and then she saw, Thay's shelves are so poor. So she took out everything and she bought a new shelf. She put the new shelf, brand new shelf, and then put back all the books. And that morning, Thay came to on a mindfulness day, and before giving the Dharma talk, Thay stopped by his room. Thay stepped in his room and he said, "Where's my bookshelf? Please bring it back. Where's my bookshelf?" And that attendant was so disappointed. Thay is a new one. And Thay's bookshelf bookshelves was made of bricks. He designed himself. He put a stack of bricks and then wooden pieces on top of the bricks, and then a second level and another level. He didn't want an IKEA brand new shelf. So many times we saw that we didn't offer the best gifts to Thay. And Thay always said that, yes, the best gift to me is that you love each other. And the first 10 years, how Thay trained the monastics how to love each other. Thay invented a new practice called the second body practice. It was in 1997. The second body. Each of us, we have a second body to take care of. If that sister is my second body, I see her like myself. She's my second body. I have 2 bodies. I have a second body, and she has another second body, and then that one has another second body, and that's how we make a circle, like a necklace. And each of us, we learn how to take care of another one, exactly like we take care of ourselves. If we see that she doesn't come to the sitting meditation because she's sick, and then after the session of sitting meditation, we'll go and see what she needs to feel better, to have washa, gạo gió, or to have some tisane, or some vitamins. And if she doesn't come to sitting meditation because she was very sad, she had no energy, and then we need to know and give our support to her, to listen to her, to embrace her, to take care of her. And the first time we practiced this new practice of second body was during a U.S. teaching tour. Thay brought a number of monastics with him. And before the tour, Thay wrote down the instructions for the tour. Like whenever you walk, you need to practice walking meditation. You don't run, or you need to practice second body. You don't go alone somewhere. And one day, during the tour, Thay called a meeting. All the monastics, we didn't know what happened. What an urgent meeting. So we gathered together, and Thay said, yesterday afternoon, a brother didn't practice second body. He drove a car by himself to town without a second body. Because according to the practice, when we go out, we always go out with a second body, so that we can support our practice, we can support each other in the practice. And very serious, Thay said, because our brother doesn't practice, doesn't follow the instructions, so I want to send him back to France. He cannot continue with us in this tour. Total silence in the room. And that brother, I think he stopped breathing. Now he's not here with us anymore, he passed away. He was very kind, and it seems that he didn't get along with his brothers, but he got along very well with the sisters. So very often from the Upper Hamlet, he came to the Lower Hamlet to hang around, to play with us, and we love him. And so when Thay wanted to send him back to France, and we didn't know what to do, what to say, and then suddenly I had an idea, so I knelt up. We were sitting, so I knelt up and I said, "Dear Thay, please allow our brother to continue this trip with us. We are willing to sponsor him. We are willing to be responsible, and so that it won't repeat it. He won't do it a second time. We will make sure that it won't repeat." And Thay kept quiet for 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then Thay agreed. So to start something new, a new practice, is not easy because we all have habits, deep habits. And to start a new practice, a new tradition, is not easy. You know, the first years in Plum Village, Thay kept repeating to remind us to stop, to listen to the bell. Now everything becomes so easy. At the sound of the bell, we all stop and relax and enjoy our breathing. But the first years in Plum Village, no one remembered. And Thay kept reminding. And I remember sometimes Thay was sitting like that, and through the window or the door he saw a brother or a sister walking, passing by, and right away he saw whether we walk in meditation or we rush or we run. And many times it happened to me. I was running, right in front of me I saw Thay appear suddenly, you know. And that is why until the last year of his teachings, Thay still reminded us to practice mindful breathing, mindful walking. And if we don't receive it as some teaching, some words that water our good seeds, we may get bored. We may say that, it's always the same thing. Thay always teaches the same thing. But because of us, and Thay always express his wish. What he likes the most is that we love each other. And because we don't know how, Thay established practices for us, very concrete practices, how to cultivate our love with each other. And sometimes, if we don't understand deeply the practice, we may think that, this second body practice is, it's like police practice. You always follow a sister and make sure that everything is okay. If she's not here, what's happened to her? And then we may misunderstand the practice and the teachings. But this is really a practice very concrete practice to help us how to build sisterhood, siblinghood in our community. And within those first 10 years, Thay also taught us the practice of beginning anew, how to reconcile, how to refresh our relationship, how to resolve conflicts. Because our habits, our deep habits, is to avoid challenges, is to avoid difficulties. And if we have some conflict with a member in the community, it's easier to avoid that person, and then we go towards the others, rather than to sit down with her to express with loving speech, to express our difficulties, our conflict, and then to listen deeply to her, to him, to them, in order to understand, in order to reestablish the communication and understand each other. And after a successful beginning anew, we always feel even closer to that person. We feel more love for that person because we have more understanding, and we can overcome that conflict, and we feel so happy that we could make it. And I remember in 1992, 93, before Thay started his Dharma Talk, and then he called our eldest brother to come up and please let us know how you practice beginning anew in the Upper Hamlet. And then that brother had to make a short report to Thay and the whole community how the brothers practiced beginning anew the last 2 weeks. And after the report, Thay said, "Only theory." You see how Thay was tough to build up a monastic community, to set up a structure, new practices. It was not easy. And sometimes Thay had to play the role of someone very tough, like a Zen master, like Master Linchi, who always used a stick. Thay didn't use any stick. But we are part of Linchi school, and Master Linchi always used stick and shouting to awaken us. Thay didn't use those means, but he was also tough. And the practice of beginning anew, we always share with our lay friends. We need to practice in our monastic community, and then with the experience we share with lay friends, and in all the retreats we share it to our lay friends. If we don't practice it, we only share theories. We don't share our own experience. And Thay always told us that you need to practice. You only share what you have already practiced, what you have succeeded in the practice. If not, you are fake Dharma teachers. You are selling fake things. Fake merchandise. And for his whole life, Thay always share his own life experience, his own life practice experience. And in this audience, I know some who came to Plum Village to observe, to see whether Thay really lived what he wrote in his books. And they are still here with us in this community as long-term friends. And Thay also set up the practice of shining light. And the first years, during the first years, we had to put into practice, and we didn't have much experience, and sometimes it turned out catastrophe. Because we didn't apply correctly the teachings. And then we continue, the next time we continue. And today, whatever we have is the fruits, the results of many years of practice. And I'm very happy that the lay French Dharma teachers, they get profit from our monastic practice of shining light. Because shining light is the tradition connected with the 3-month retreat. During the 3 months, we take refuge in the community, in the Sangha, in our elder brothers and teachers, elder brothers and sisters, and then at the end of the winter retreat, we ask for shining light. For 3 months, what you have seen, what you have heard about my practice, please shine light on my practice. And all those practices help us build up our sisterhood, our siblinghood, and to strengthen our practice, to improve our practice. Thay also set up the practice of mentor and mentee. Every old brother every old sister has a group of mentees. They take care of their younger brothers and sisters. And this is a tradition that happened even since the Buddha's time. And the mentees take refuge in their mentors and mentors, brothers and sisters. And this is also a practice to build up brotherhood, siblinghood, and practice to get bonded to each other. So Thay has set up many practices, and if we don't understand, we lose the opportunity. And we live in the community, but we don't know how to love each other, to build up love. If we just focus and practice deeply what Thay has established, and then we can offer the best gift to Thay on his continuation day that we want to offer. And when Thay talk about love, this is something that Thay had experienced in his life. That's why the last 20 years of teachings, he always emphasized on siblinghood and love. This is something that Thay had experienced. Thay grew up in a family. Thay has 2 older brothers, 1 older sister, a younger brother. And the day when his Thay's sister passed away, before she passed away, Thay phoned her and wrote her letter. And in that letter, Thay said that when I look back, I remember that I was never angry with you, my dear sister. Thay grew up in a family with lots of love, lots of siblinghood. And his aspiration to bring happiness to the world, to serve the world, this aspiration was inspired by his older brother, who was also a monk. So Thay grew up in this family with love, and during his life, when Thay faced challenges and difficulties, when Thay thought of his brothers and sister, Thay was very nourished, and he had more energy to continue on his way. And same thing when you heard the section of his letter, you could feel how Thay was happy with his brothers, his classmates in the Buddhist Institute. During the war, Thay and his classmates, they really loved each other and protected each other during wartime. So the war was also an element that waters the seeds of love for Thay and for them, to protect each other, to love each other. And in many sharing, Thay said that Thay loved his classmates in the Buddhist Institute exactly like Thay loves his older brother or younger brother in his blood family. And this love transcends space and time. Because many times in his life, he just thought of this kind of love, and Thay felt nourished and had more energy to go on, to continue on his path. The love from his teacher for him. So, in the same letter, Thay wrote, to his students, "You are smart and talented enough. You just need to love each other and hold each other's hands. Then there's nothing you cannot do." So I continue the next lines. During the past few weeks, despite the many tasks during the summer retreat, Thay still found the time and energy to shine light on and guide those of his students who need shining light and guidance. Now everything is fine, and everyone has practiced beginning anew. Everyone has left the past behind and embraced the present. Thay is very glad. Thay is very glad every time he sees his students begin anew successfully. And to love each other, one important factor is the togetherness. And I remember in some winter retreats, Thay really tried to bring us together. Togetherness is a very important element. And a few months before the winter retreat, Thay always reflected what Thay was going to teach for those 3 months. Sometimes Thay just announced, okay, this winter retreat, Thay wants everyone, all Hamlets, we will have sitting meditation all together before the Dharma Talk. And that winter, we woke up at 5 o'clock, and at 5:30 we go to the other hamlet in order to be all together at 6 o'clock to start our sitting meditation. And I remember in the cold weather, and it was still dark, and on the road we only saw Plum Village cars, especially on Sunday. I saw all the houses. Nobody woke up. Everyone was sleeping, and there were lines of cars moving to another hamlet to have sitting meditation all together in one meditation hall. And Thay was always there before everyone. And one winter, Thay gave us guided meditation for all the sitting meditation. And one year, Thay told all the sisters of the new hamlet move to the Lower Hamlet to be together with the Lower Hamlet. So every morning we walk to the Upper Hamlet to have sitting meditation together with everyone, with Thay and with 3 hamlets. So we didn't need to use the car, but we just walk. And then the next time, the brothers from the Upper Hamlet will move to the Lower Hamlet. So Thay always tried to bring us together, to practice together, to have a collective energy of practice. And do you know that the first time we celebrated Thay's birthday, the first time was when he was 80 years old. Because Thay was very shy. And knowing that Thay was shy, we never celebrated. We only wrote cards, we offer gifts, or sometimes if Thay was in the Upper Hamlet and a small group of brothers and sisters, we brought a small cake to Thay and sang happy birthday. But when Thay was 80 years old, we said, it's very important, we need to celebrate it. And then secretly, the 3 hamlets we organized without letting Thay know. I remember Sister Gina was there, and the organizers asked me to be one of the MCs. I said, no, I don't want, because I know that Thay didn't like celebration like that. I said, no, I'm too afraid. And Sister Cheng Khong cheated Thay that day. She told Thay that, oh, we have an activity, please come and see. The sisters are gonna dance, and Thay came. And I remember Thay walked to the door out there, and suddenly Thay turned back and walked to his room. Suddenly Thay found out, they are organizing, they are treating me, they are cheating me. And it was time to start, and Thay didn't show up, and the whole community was looking at each other. What are we gonna do? The birthday man is not there. What are we gonna do? And so I remember we look at each other, and then what are we gonna do? And then finally, with another sister, I went to Thay's room and apologized. I wore my Sanghadi robe and apologized. You see how it was unfair? I didn't participate in the organization, and then I was the one who had to go and apologize, Thay. And I remember Thay was in his hammock. We were very nervous, but when I got there, I saw that Thay in the hammocks, in the hammock, reflecting with a light smile. So I was reassured. He didn't look serious or angry, but he smiled a little bit. I felt reassured, so I began anew. Sister Gina was there, still there in the meditation hall waiting. And then after I apologized, and then finally Thay got up, put on his jacket, and Thay said, okay, I don't like it at all, but at least you all gather together to have fun. Okay, I come. And since that time, Thay always came, because Thay was happy to see us gather together. Thay was happy to see that we left everything behind just to gather, to get together, to have fun, to sing, to dance, to do whatever. Thay didn't pay attention, but to get together, Thay was happy. And so he sacrificed what he didn't like at all, but he sacrificed to come so that everyone gets together. So we can feel that Thay is very happy today to see us gathering here, to spend the whole day together. So I'm going to finish quickly with one more idea, and then we stop so that you have time to go around and enjoy the exhibition, the small exhibition. And I remember Thay's, before the year 2000, in 97, Thay looked at a younger brother and Thay said, "You are very lucky. You will be great, because at your age, you are already in contact with those teachings. I have spent many years in the dark, looking." The word Thay used was tâtonner in French. In English, what is it? Tâtonner. Tâtonner in the dark. Thay didn't see a clear path, and he had to, like this, to look for a direction, to look for a path. At your age, I was still in the dark. Even though Thay was in contact with the Buddha's teachings, but he didn't see the connection between the Buddha's teachings and his daily life, and what is going on in the present world. And he wanted to do something to help, and he couldn't. And Thay looked at the young monastic. He said, "You are so lucky. At your age, I was still in the dark. You will become great, great teachers. You have so many years in front of you." But that brother, shortly after, he left the community. And then I noticed that only those who have suffered, who are in contact with the teachings, who put into practice, and who see how the practice help transform the suffering, and then we know how to appreciate what we have today. But if we receive the teachings on this level, intellectual level, to satisfy our knowledge, and then when we see that, oh, yes, I know, and then we go somewhere else to get more knowledge. But when we put into practice and it becomes our life, and then the more we practice, the more we enjoy and the more we appreciate this place, this community. And now, even if policemen came and take me away, I mean authority or whatever, force me to leave Plum Village, I will never leave Plum Village. Because every day, in every hour, I see how I'm nourished. And it becomes my life. And I see many of my sisters, sitting meditation has become their lives. Even during lazy days, during lazy time, there's no schedule on the board, there's no sitting meditation, but they still enjoy the sitting meditation early in the morning in their rooms. Or whenever they feel the need, they sit still, because sitting meditation becomes their life. Or the practice of mindful breathing, the practice of mindful walking, those practices become our life and we enjoy it. And wherever we go, we bring with us. We don't feel that we make efforts to do it. So I stop here so that we all have the opportunity to enjoy the exhibition, to enjoy our togetherness. Today is a happy day for Thay and for all of us.